with that, I'll invite Professor M. Vanati. She's going to cover a third aspect of this Made in India symposium, the clinical practice of phakic IOLs, my practical experience.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. So over the next 10 minutes, I'll talk you through my clinical experience with this new phakic IOL, which we are using at our center now. I have no financial interest here. To start with, I think when we look at refractive corrections, there are refractive surgery options and there are lens-based options here. So I wouldn't delve into the details of those as we are all running short of time here. But when you look at amount of refractive error, FDA limit corrections, which limit us to -10 to +4 here, and where your refractive ablations are not going to help as in correction with LASIK and SMILE, that's where your phakic IOLs come into play when you want to do a glasses removal surgery for those really motivated patients here. So phakic IOLs give you a wider range of correction, and now we do adopt phakic IOLs even for mild to moderate myopias where your corneas are borderline. So the range extends from about -3 to -20 diopters here, and hyperopics for up to about 0.5 to +10 is recommended, but we do only up to the, what is available is up to 4 diopters here. When you look at patient selection here, it's pretty much similar to as you would do for all refractive surgeries. So you probably have something extra which you have to do for your phakic IOLs here. So it's always about 21 years of age, you have a stable refraction here, and you take those corneas which are not suitable for refractive ablations here, or the amount of correction required is beyond what is possible by LASIK or SMILE or by refractive surgeries here. Your endo ACDs need to be above 2.8 mm. The endothelial cell counts, you need a healthy endothelium here, and you would not desire to have any other associated ocular comorbidities when you are considering these options here. Contraindications would be that you have a progressive refractive error, you have other associated ocular comorbidities. When your endothelium is not healthy and and your endo ACD, please remember endo ACD is starting from the endothelium here, then these are cases which you probably would not be suitable for considering a phakic IOL here. So the refractive refractive workup is pretty much similar as you would do for any other laser refractive surgeries. What extra you would do is look at the anterior chamber depth in these patients here. So you could adopt a UBM or an ASOCT here, and you would also do a white to white and specular counts on these patients here. The other workups are similar to what you would do for refractive surgery ablations here. So for myopia, you want an endo ACD above 2.8, and hyperopia, you would look at an endo ACD above 3 millimeters. But what I would place more emphasis on is an accurate estimation of your white to white. So most of your postoperative problems in phakic IOLs will depend on your white to white measurements. So a measurement which is inaccurate is going to lead to inaccurate sizing of your phakic IOLs, and that would lead to postoperative problems here. The particular concerns which you look at is the manifest refractions, the back vertex distance, the calculation softwares here, and I already pointed out in your workup your white to white and your endo ACDs. Most of the support for, in terms of power calculations is provided by the personnel related to the company of the lens which you are using in. So what is widely used and what most of us have been more comfortable with because of the long existence and more literature we have is the FDA approved implantable Collamer lenses. But what are the newer ones which we have on the portal here? And we have the IPCL, we have the RIL, and we have the iCRIL phakic IOLs here. The iCRIL phakic IOL is the only phakic IOL which I use apart from ICL, and I've had a very good experience with using this IOL. This nomograms in terms of ICL availability, all of us are aware of. It's available in anywhere over your textbooks or on the net for you to read up. So I will just share with you our preliminary experience of what we have when we have compared it with the ICL. When we compared our iCRIL phakic and phakic toric phakic IOLs with relation to the ICL implants here. So this is a single piece posterior chamber IOL, and the advantage is it could be inserted through a 2.2 incision. So that, whereas an ICL you would have to use a larger 3.2 incision in these patients here. And these lenses can be customized according to the shape and size of each eye here. They're available in a very wide range of power range in terms of diopters from +10 to -25, and a cylinder of +2 up to 5 here. They are made from an acrylic material with a long duration where its durability is quite long here. So this is the animated picture of the Icryl phakic IOL and the phakic toric here. I'll tell you more about this. That is about, it's a hydrophilic, it's aspheric, it gives you an optical dia of 6.5 mm here, and they give it to you, and it's available in 4 ranges of overall diameter of 12, 12.5, 13 and 13.5, which is a particular advantage when you look at it. The other factors are comparable to international standards here, and when you look at the phakic toric as well, again it's available in optic sizes of 4.65 to 5.5 here, and the dioptric ranges is 8 to 25, +8 to -25, and cylinder powers of up to 5 and 0.5 dioptric steps here. And the refractive index of this lens is about 1.46 here. So here you do see a lens which is about which is a 6.5 sized optic diameter, and gives you a good pupillary coverage here, gives you a good range, and the added advantage which Icryl offers is that they always give you a backup lens here. So makes the surgeon a little more stress-free here. So in case something goes wrong, then you do not need to postpone the surgery, and you would be able to have a backup lens for your patients here. The other advantage is the way you place your lenses here. So they do give you in steps of the cylinder placement is in 0, 30, 60, 90, 120, 150. So it gives you a very easy placement of these lenses, and you do not need to rotate too much when you're placing these lenses vis-a-vis what you would have in the ICL phakic IOL. So that is an added advantage when you're looking at Icryl lenses. Your calculation sheets look like this here, so I'm going to run through this because of lack of time here. So this is how your calculation sheets, your calculations. Again, that is what is most important when you're planning any form of refractive surgery, be it a laser ablative surgery or be it a phakic IOL surgery. This needs to be accurate, and this is what your team needs to be trained on. And if you are having your optomes and if you're having your residents working, this needs to be absolutely accurate, and you need to look at your calculation sheets if you want to pick up any abnormality. So you can place your lenses horizontally this way, and the axis is marked, and the one which is most suitable to the eye which is being operated, that is being dispensed to you, and that helps you to have minimal rotation when you're placing these lenses here. So again, to run you through on a comparative on particular characteristics, the material which is used in Icryl is not an animal source here, vis-a-vis the posine source of Collamer which you have in the Evo Visian ICL here. The rest of them are comparable, but when you look at the flexibility, it's a little more rigid or less pliable as you would compare to ICL here, but it affords you the comparable insertion ease here, and being a little more rigid, it usually does not flip in the wrong direction or does not flip upside down. The loading is comparatively easy in these lenses as well, and when you look at data which is currently available to us in terms of, we do not have too much here, but whatever we have is particularly encouraging. Here you do have 5-year results which comes you from international data, and does give you a sight and endothelial cell loss which is about 6.9% comparable to what you have, and I think this was is a much older study here, and we do have lesser endothelial cell rate losses when we are looking at our phakic IOL patients nowadays, given the improvised techniques and the devices which we have with us here. Again, a large-scale study comparing it with ICL from India by by Sri Ganesh's group here. Again, they did a comparative study with 25 eyes here, and the range of power dioptric correction was comparable here. The refractive stability and the visual outcome was again comparable in all these cases here. So that is quite encouraging when you look at the data. So it is ICL is a non-inferior lens if you do look at, so which is comparable, and I think it's a good alternative to be considered when you're looking at an alternative to ICL in these in our eyes here. So the durability here again from whatever data which we are having with us, and we look at the material durability is supposed to be valid for a long period of time here, and the production also uses the zero technology, which means you have lesser impurities, you have a zero methacrylic acid and zero ionization, which is a safe material here. Again, another look at one of our patients' calculation sheets here, and this is provided to you, and this makes you comfortable and guides you of how you would want to place the lenses in your patient. So I will just share the preliminary data which we have completed in 70 patients of our 35 in each group as a comparative study vis-a-vis what we now accept or use as gold standard with ICL. So we have compared our results here. So all our investigation parameters are pretty much similar, and I think I would just share our preliminary data of 38 eyes, 19 patients. The mean pre-op spherical refractive error range of -4 to -24, and a mean pre-op cylindrical cylinder from 0 to -3.5 here. And you could see our visual results are very, very encouraging, are acceptable in all our patients here. We have a safety index of 1.43 and an efficacy index of 1.02 in our patients. And the mean endothelial cell loss in all our eyes is less than 2. It's just about 2. It's 2.1% here in these patients here. And a quick look at the loading system again has been made very easy and very comparable to what we have with ICL, so that we don't have a confusion on this patient. I'll sort of speed it up for you, so won't run it slowly, but this is a very, very user-friendly, and you could load it yourself here. So there you find the cartridge which you open up and place here. The lens is taken out from its holding container here. And it's pretty much, you could just easily handle it with your McPherson's or any other which you would use atraumatic forceps you want to hold it. You place it such that, and you please remember that your the leading hole on the aptic is on the left side, and the following hole and the hole which follows is on the right side. So that's how it's a little different from ICL here. So it's pretty much to your is similar to the IOL loading which you would do for your cataract surgery. So nothing different, but only thing, remember, you probably will have to place it with the convexity facing downwards here. So that's the difference in this. So it's a very simple loading system you have, and I'll just quickly fast forward. These are all unedited videos, and you could see that I think this is this again is another similar loading system for you to see here. And so topical surgery, again, you need to prep your patients here and make them more comfortable. And here is one of the toric lenses. It's the marking done, as you're seeing. I'm seated temporarily for this particular patient here. The procedure is very much similar. You can see the ease of insertion. So here it just goes in. It's a little less pliable, so that makes it difficult to roll upon itself unless you've made an error in the loading of your lens here. And the lens is gone, and so inserting it behind the iris again becomes easier when you want to place push the haptics behind into the position here. We also use the IOCT, so we have more parameters which we are evaluating. We'll shortly share more in our data after it's available for more public viewing. So that's the IOCT showing you the anterior chamber vault, which is measured for all our patients in our cases here. I think I will stop here, and thank you all for your patient listening and the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Vanati. It was a wonderful presentation. We'll have a quick comment by Dr. Kudlu, and then we'll wind up
Thank
the
you,
session.
madam. We are already 2 minutes delay from our session. I am the initial starter of this lens. I had used 500 plus lenses, both toric and spherical lenses. And as madam said, that the incision size is around 2.8. What I just wanted to tell.
2.2. 2.2 now. Initially 2.8.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Now
the
it is
new
2.2. Initially, we started with 2.8.
Correct.
So why am I insisting here 2.8? We even during the trial period, just because of the request from the company, we just wanted to try in a couple of patients how we can explant these lenses. But in spite of it is a hydrophilic in nature, I could able to explant without extending the more than 2.8.